Hello. Yes. Welcome. I'm also very pleased to be here with you again once more at the Nornux Asia Forum gathering. So it's great to be get the chance to change the information from our countries about nuclear energy projects and resistance conditions to set solidarity goals. So, you know, in the before noon, our colleagues from Philippines, India mentioned about democracy, lacking democracy, and as you know, what has been happening in Turkey, actually we say Turkey, after last year, in the last 2 years, we have been saying Turkey, the name changed. In Turkey, we have also a very similar problem. It is lacking democracy. As you know, democracies are backsliding in all over the world. We can take the perspective of fighting for democracy, actually. Whenever we talk about nuclear energy projects, it means that we are mentioning about democracy. So we can discuss this from this perspective in our countries. So, as you know, since the centralization of the political regime and effectiveness of social movements are all related, and citizen participation, of course, citizen participation in decision-making processes are very much related to the effectiveness of democracy, democracy's functionality. So my words this time will be linked more to democracy as we have been experiencing this lacking democracy in the loss of rights of women rights, you know, and animal rights and ecology mostly. We have been experiencing the democracy problem in every area, every field of these issues. So nuclear energy is just one part of it. So we can communicate this problem within our communities in this respect. So, dear participants, Turkey has never been this much far from democracy under any government compared to 23 years of AKP rule. So, you know, just 1 month ago, 1,879 citizens were detained, mostly students. So, in the events started with the objections to preventing of the presidential candidacy of the mayor of Istanbul. You can imagine a city of 18 million people. The second wave of major detentions was just in the May Day, on the May Day. Many people, including journalists and students, again were detained. And our prisons have a population problem now. And the government started to establish new prisons because in the near future there will be millions to be detained. I can say this, unfortunately, for my sake. And as of May 2nd, after these all detentions, Turkey was ranked 159th out of 180 countries. This means that the democracy has been going down, and 33% freedom is the thing Turkey has, according to Freedom House report. So I used a black background actually, but you see when the background is black, fonts have to be white. So this means we have the potential to be the hope for democracy. Okay, I made it manual. Okay, I use manual. So to start with the energy profile of Turkey. The installed electricity capacity is 118,000 of which 1,000 megawatt, of which 59% of it is renewable energy, including 20% of hydraulic energy. Actually, in 2024, being imported from Russia, 35% of coal, exceeding the production of Poland and Germany, where, as you know, the combination of the fuel is still a component in the production of energy, is very used to be high. Turkey also relies on Russia for natural gas, which provided 18.5% of the energy, generated energy, targeting to be Europe's main exporter. Main energy exporter with 75,000 kilometers of transmission lines and over 1.5 million kilometers of distribution networks, Turkey's dependency on Russia will increase with the nuclear power plants, of course. So Turkey's goal of becoming the main energy exporter of Europe resulted in the climate law as well, because it was being withdrawn under citizen pressure as the government tried to instrumentalize the energy projects to get in contact with Europe more. So, in terms of renewable energy, Turkey has the potential to meet half of the country's needs, because in Turkey we have a huge capacity for especially solar energy, which is 185,000 megawatt. And also for wind energy for 48,000 megawatt. But recently, in 2024, the production of these renewable sources was highest in 2024. Because the wind was produced around 11.2%, and solar production generation was around 18.5% of full energy production. And in 2025, it's expected to have an increase for solar about 5 gigawatts, and for the wind energy 2 to 3 gigawatts. So regarding nuclear power plant projects in Turkey, you see we have two official projects. One is in the south, it's called Mersin, Mersin City, and the name of the project is Akkuyu Nuclear Power Plant. And the other is the Sinop Power Plant project, which is still not under environmental impact assessment process. But I will a bit go deeper in this. So the predecessor one, which is the Akkuyu Nuclear Power Plant, is the project of VVER 1200 model. Okay, this is Russian, Rosatom, Russian. So there are four, and the plan is still under construction, and the first reactor is expected to start operation in 2025. So this is the agreement was made with Russia through an intergovernmental agreement first. Then they made another reactor agreement, which is it's financing the project. So it's built on operate type reactor agreement to finance the project, and this is no any other example. This is the first example for built on operate type reactors. After Turkey, Bangladesh also made a deal with Rosatom, and it is again same built on operate type agreement, but no any other example for that. Another problem about Akkuyu is, military problems are very now popular. So the Turkey has been a NATO country since 1952. So when Turkey makes a nuclear deal with the Rosatom, this means that Turkey and Rosatom relations may create a treat for NATO membership, NATO, I should say, NATO membership. Okay, so NATO has 20 bases in Turkey. One of the bases, very well known one, which is named Incirlik, it is just 90 kilometers from the Akkuyu nuclear power plant. So regarding the Sinop power plant project, it's a touristic city, Sinop one, on the Black Sea side, and the agreement first made in 2013. But Japan was withdrew in 2019. Despite the withdrawal, the old deal has been going on as if Japan never withdrew. This means that the government received the environmental impact approval, but there is no technology owner, there is no type of reactor known. They got the environmental impact assessment approval report. This is for the first time in the world, I think. I can say that Rosatom has an appetite to get this, this Sinop project, because there's still no owner, and this means that Turkey will be besieged under Rosatom power, because when Rosatom uses the nuclear power plant as a military area base, it means that it's a Russian land. According to the agreement, actually, yes, it's a Russian land, because the owner is Russia. Yes, I can say that the progress of Akkuyu nuclear power plant was enabled with by the governments providing VAT exemptions and customs exemptions, 90% tax reduction, investment contribution, investment site allocation, interest support, and degree regulations. While these regulations make Akkuyu Erdogan's Atoms project, as the construction workers of Akkuyu named it, all these facilitations will also be applied to the Sinop project. Moreover, announcing a target of 20 gigawatt nuclear in 2023, the government has mentioned purchasing SMRs, and once more orally declared the establishment of the third nuclear power plant, which you see, it's not official one, but it's in the Tres region. The area is called Tres, and the city is known as İğneada, which is again very touristic. There's a great habitat there, animal life, wildlife, very similar ecology with Sinop's ecology. So to go deeper, I will mention about the Akkuyu nuclear power plant project's risks and progress. Regarding this, Incirlik NATO base, I can tell you that there are 20 of B-61 tactical nuclear gravity bomb missiles, and just 90 kilometers, as I told you. 90 kilometers from Akkuyu and the same distance from the city itself. So this can be a conflict as if it is in Ukraine and Russia. The second official project, Sinop, and it's also the government is providing the decrees, etc. So at present, approximately 25,000 construction workers from both countries working on site, and there are problems despite the governments always are using the discourse of employment opportunities in the nuclear power plants. And in Sinop, Akkuyu project, the number of workers reached to 20,000, but they are just temporary. On the other hand, they have many problems. We experienced explosions, traffic accidents, and poison cases, and death of two workers because of sickness due to the hygiene problem. So there are sanctions also for Russia. This makes this creates payment difficulties, and there are mass layoffs. They are very, not satisfied with their working conditions. They have always problems. But the government unsee this kind of problem, and they only see or show as if there is a bright side of the project. Another problem is the warming sea. Mediterranean is the most warming sea. The warming potential is 20% higher in the world when you compare to other seas in the world. So this makes a climate change related risk for Akkuyu nuclear power plant. And for Sinop project, for example, in the future there's a risk like this because Black Sea is a closed sea, and there will be a Mediterraneanization effect in the Black Sea. Regarding Sinop nuclear power plant project, I can say that the price of the project is $20 billion, and environmental impact assessment approval was taken in 2020, and there was no technology owner, as I said you. A reference reactor was based to give this report, actually. So the project is just enabled terrible cutting in the Sinop prefecture. The cutting of the amount, there's an industrial forest there, and the cutting trees reached to 1 million, even more than this, 1 million trees, despite there's no technology, despite the absence of the technology. And there's the ecological problem. Fisheries will be affected soon because of the forest cutting. There's also a job loss in the city, and there's no industrial facility in the city. Actually, it's very touristic, village side. Like Fukushima actually. Yeah, I have been a few times to Fukushima for research, and yes, it's very so sad. So I can say that being the first country to sign the Atom for Peace agreement, Turkey has a long background, long history of nuclear power plant projects. So this just dates back to 1955. To have nuclear power plant, the tender was first held in 1965, then 1971, followed by the tenders in 1982 and 1993. That all failed due to political, economic, and other some social reasons. And as neoliberal policies were gradually integrated into the political regime, the evolution of the institutions led to the loss of qualified experts in charge of nuclear energy teachings processes. This is how Turkey had to make a build-own-operate type agreement, because we have no nuclear energy expert. We have lost these kind of values in 1990s, after the military coup took place in 1980. So you see we had tenders till 2000. We had, as I mentioned, you 4 tenders we had. But with the beginning of the Erdogan's rule, we started with the intergovernmental agreements. One another. Yes. And here you see the anti-nuclear movement in Turkey. This is the history of the movement, goes back to 1970s. Under the conditions of neoliberal politics, neoliberal regime projects were brought to the agenda in the aftermath of the Chernobyl disaster. This is a time period when also anti-nuclear awareness has risen in Turkey, as similar to the world. And in the aftermath of Chernobyl, there was a huge congress in 1993 where many associations and all unions members got together and started to organize anti-nuclear camps, festivals. They were very colorful. The anti-nuclear movement in Turkey at present considers itself as the one in 1990s. So, however, over the time, democratic infrastructure has eroded, and the dynamics of the struggle have weakened. So the anti-nuclear opposition, which was around 70%, still is 65%. And I can say that the power of the citizens were seen just after the Fukushima. Just 1 month later, the anti-nuclear activists made a woman chain, organized a woman chain of 1 million people. And these people all together formed 159 kilometers of human chain from city center of Mersin to Akkuyu nuclear power plant. So this is, I think, the longest in the world. I don't know if there's another, please tell me. I can tell you that still people are against nuclear power because we have the experience of Chernobyl in Turkey. Yes, for example, climate change survey, one of the questions showed that the nuclear energy was the least preferred energy source. So, but when the democracy started backsliding more than ever after 2013, when the Gezi events took place in Turkey, it started like real attacks, fines, lawsuits against nuclear opponents. These kind of cases increased, and the judicial processes for both projects have also been politicized. This was most recently experienced with the renewable expert review last month to invalidate the negative report given to Sinop nuclear power plant project, conforming tens of risks. The most influential rallies were also in Sinop, you see. But this is in 2025. We had 2 more huge rallies. One of them was in 2006. And the other was in 2015. In 2006, there were 20,000 people, and the other one, 30,000 people were gathered. And Sinop takes this power from its communal relations. As I mentioned to you, dynamics of the nuclear platform has been weakened. So the most important indicator here is the communal relations, because they are fighting for their cities. And actually this is reflected also in the elections of mayor in 2023. A mayor who used to be, he's still anti-nuclear activist and our colleague actually, was elected mayor. So Sinop showed its interest to anti-nuclear. So The anti-nuclear movement, as I told you, includes many different dynamics such as institutions, unions and associations with their agendas and their priorities. So when the pressure comes from the government, they have to focus on their own priorities and agendas. But compared to Nuclearsys.org, my organization, for example, we had plenty of events, because of easily involving in national events and international events. We are also a member of anti-nuclear platform and connected to other platforms such as ecology platform in Turkey. But still, there are some other activities, such as we invited Chernobyl witnesses, Fukushima witnesses. For example, Sato-san in 2018 brought Kawata-san to Turkey, and she gave speeches in Sinop and shared her experiences. This kind of valuable experiences are very enlightening for the citizens. Okay. Regarding international cooperation, I had a privilege to be part of organizations such as IPPNW, World Anti-Nuclear Social Forum, Peace Boat projects, Fukushima Booklet project, Say No to Nuclear Platform, Cyprus, and the anti-nuclear camps in Dauphine, Germany, and Narbonne in France, where I also had the chance to perform the very first climate risk-related workshops for nuclear power plants in 2016. Yes, I know that our struggle will remain fresh as long as our solidarity network lives, which is vital since nuclear risks will increase under the conditions of climate change and energy-hungry AI businesses take more energy. So for this reason, I want to conclude my words with a statement that I have heard in Africa, South Africa. It was from our anti-nuclear comrades. I had the chance to witness their resistance. So this saying is very, inspiring. Respect existence or expect resistance. Thank you.
谢谢。